Unfurl your wings in the presence of your passions. Allow your unfettered curiosities lead you into pleasant plateaus. When we sink into these sacred treasures within, we loosen our grip on certainty and seeking. It is in this new profound expanse that we find and unearth the sacred keys within our existence, a unique and original offering to humanity, in the service to self that is service to all, through the unfettered passions, curiosities and interests within us. We unfurl our unfettered flower that leads us into a life beyond expectation, beyond plans, beyond certainty. In this new state, we realize we are much more than the definitions and labels that we would entertain or have entertained to this point. And as we begin to follow the path of our curiosities and passions, we begin to loosen grip on definitions, labels, and certainties. And we find little refuge in categorizing ourselves, categorizing our abilities. Instead, we find refuge in the present moment and what magic arises as we are sensitive to the subtleties within us, and we cultivate their spirits and their essence to manifest in our material life. But first we have to be sensitive to those subtleties within, and to do that we have to let go of the certainties that we would otherwise attach ourselves to let go of the plans that we may have projected from the past into the future, and begin to expand into our authentic light state, a state of sacred play. In this state we embody our authenticity, of our key, of our treasure within ourselves. And this treasure lies within us beneath the expectations and the pressures that ultimately aim to feed only certainty, only answers, only definitions. The intellect can only reach so far. At some point you have to let go of intellectual inquiry and dive into the subtleties of your sacred self, your authentic essence, found in the unique curiosities and passions that arise within you. And these may change from day to day, from month to month. You may find you doing things short term, some things mid-term, some long-term. This is the essence of your soul, beyond linear thinking, beyond intellectual inquiry. It is ever moving, in constant motion, like life. It cannot be pinned down to a category or a label or a definition. We must begin to loosen our grip on seeking and certainty, and begin to embody the fullness of our authenticity in the moment. It is this authenticity that is an offering to life itself. You are an offering to life itself. When you realize that, you step away from pressures and expectations that are either conscious or unconscious playing out in your life. The goal is to let go of appeasement to pressures, either externally or internally. Begin to find your subtleties, because your sacred essence is subtle. One must become sensitive to it and learn the language, because it is not verbal, it is not intellectual, it is felt, it is experienced, it is softened and relaxed into. And once we have released seeking and certainty enough, and we decay into the compost of our sacred essence, we then rebirth and we reborn with new curiosities and passions and pleasures, and we play with the eros of our soul that cannot be categorized or pigeonholed or labeled. It is to differentiate between the left and the right brain, to understand the right wants to play and the left wants to define and the right wants to play. And it's important to understand and distinguish between these facets. As the right wants to play, we must begin to let go of the left's emphasis on definition, of certainty, of control, of logic, of reason. And as we begin to usher in and invite back in to ourselves and into our lives the right hemisphere of our brain that is expansive, that is beyond thought, non-linear, playful, creative, expressive, an eternal dance that is ever morphing into new forms. And this part of our brain, this part of our expression, of our soul, is to be invited back into ourselves and to manifest it into life. And as you manifest this into your life, this right hemisphere of the brain, this playfulness, your curiosities and passions, you will be a shining example to others in the world of the potentiality of one's authenticity or of one's holistic nature, as we incorporate the playfulness and the passions with the logic and the reason, and we become anthroposic, the whole human, the fullness of our essence. This is our potential, this is our reach, as we look to move beyond what may be prescribed in society, or pressured by society, or pressured by the karmic stories in our DNA that would otherwise have us acting in alignment to fears and limitations from our ancestry. These are all things that we contend with and have to examine in our own lives, in our own unique relationship with those limiting languages that only deal with labels and definitions. This is the challenge: to be subtle, to be soft, to relax into a new language within yourself, to play with the breath and to unfurl your wings of your soul. This is the prize, this is the treasure that the dragon protects, the dragon of fears, the fears of ancestral fears, the fears of your experiences in your own life, the fears of society projected onto you and self-talk. One must contend with this dragon that has many forms, that has many ways has many fuels. But if we're able to contend with that dragon, if we're able to form a relationship with it, to understand that ultimately it is protecting something sacred in you, that at some point in your life and at some point in our ancestry wasn't able to be released into the world. Maybe you weren't ready. Maybe our ancestors, the environment wasn't there. and that's fine. But when the moment's ready and you're prepared to soften into yourself, to embody your curiosities and passions, to relate to the dragon within, to unearth the treasure behind it, and to manifest into the world and to be a shining example of humanity, the anthropos, the wholeness of our expression of our being, the God self that knows no limitations, that is not defined or known, that is here in the right hemisphere of the brain. This is our potential. This is our reality. This is our gift, our sacred essence that we possess unique keys to. It is up to you to unlock it.